This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
I will call to order the April, give me a date please. 13th. It's May 3rd. I often screw up the months. Yeah, May 13th, Public Safety Building Committee meeting. It's being recorded. And I'll start right off by welcoming Reggie Green, who will represent finance. And I think we are relieved and delighted to have a finance rep. Thank you. It's been 2.5 years that we haven't had one.
It's coming on at an opportune time, if I might say.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, not a minute too soon. So welcome. I hope you enjoy the committee and are willing to work as hard as all of our other members have been.
Should we introduce ourselves?
Oh, shall we? Sure. Starting with Chief.
We've met before, Reggie. Ian Illingsworth.
Cindy Palmer, and I represent seniors. I know I don't look old enough, but I do, and I'm the clerk.
I think you know me.
Hi, Mark.
Rich, we just met.
Okay.
Actually, I saw everybody on the video.
Okay.
A public forum, and that was very helpful.
Open time for the public. Seeing none, we'll review 3 sets of minutes.
Okay, so I've made some copies. Often I find that some of you have read them or made your own copies. So who would like a set? Let's see, there's 2 March sets. One is March 25th. Who would like a copy? Would you like
I would
a
like
copy,
one.
Christina?
I like one for my records.
This is a 2-pager, and Christina actually looked through these and made a few suggestions, different than the original draft. So this is still a draft. And I do see where, sort of on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th line down, the word cost has been crossed out, and it should be removed. So I will do that. That's the one thing I didn't do before. Charlie, you all set? Would you like to look at a copy, Reggie?
Yeah, I'll share one.
March 25th. There you go, Mark.
May I have a motion to approve the minutes as written?
Make a motion.
Second, please.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? All right, we'll move on to the 26th.
March 26th is a quickie 1-pager. that. Charlie, you good over there?
Good.
Mitch, Christina,
Thank you.
excuse me. Actually, second copy there if you want. On the scrap paper.
Motion to approve.
Point. I wasn't here, but it says the first portion was executive session, not recorded. Second portion was open meeting and was recorded. But if you are calling an executive session, you should have a roll call vote in the minutes to reflect that that happened.
Say that again, Charlie.
It says there was an executive session at this meeting. I wasn't here.
Down at select board meeting, yeah, yes,
but
okay,
This
right,
committee was part of that.
correct.
Did this committee do a roll call vote to go into executive session?
No, we, let's see.
I don't recall.
I don't believe it did.
No, we didn't do a roll call, but I'm just wondering, we did call the meeting to order with the select board, in the select board room.
And then the select board had an had a roll call vote to go into executive session?
We had.
The select board did, yes.
We did.
But this committee was part of that?
They were invited to the executive session, correct? I
But they
remember
were
this now.
brought in, I'm not trying to,
No,
but if they were brought in as the committee, should they not have been in the roll call vote to go into executive session because they had an active meeting going on?
probably because then they adjourned from our meeting and went on, came up here for your own meeting.
Yeah.
You left us and came up here while we continued our meeting. It may be reflected in the select board minutes rather than this set of minutes.
I believe our agenda indicated that we were going to have a executive session, and then it was going to be open after the meeting. I think the
Right,
agenda
and
reflected
Scott guided the posting of
that. That's
that.
the language.
And that's all well and fine, but if this committee came into existence for a meeting, it should have voted to go into executive session concurrently with the select board.
Quite true.
That process, I don't think happened.
Well,
It didn't happen.
But was everybody here though? Was
everybody but Charlie.
Was that the executive?
I mean, it's,
So we didn't call to order and then go into exit.
No, you guys called yourselves to order,
Yes.
but there was no roll call saying we're going to go right into
Correct.
executive session from this committee. I don't recall that.
I don't
No,
think
we
so.
didn't
We did
because
it.
I wouldn't
I think
know
we
what
just
was.
rolled right into it with the select board.
Right.
Correct, yeah.
So should these be modified somehow?
You
That we
can't,
didn't
you
do. We can modify the minutes and say we didn't do a roll call vote, if that's critical. Is that critical to put in anything?
it's after the fact now, but
Yeah.
The fact is, we didn't do a roll call vote.
I'm more trying to bring this up so that in the future, when you come in as a committee and you vote as a committee, you need to go into executive session, you also need to do a roll call vote. Or you're in violation of the open meeting laws.
In order to enter into an executive session, you need to take a roll call vote.
Which I don't think we did. Or if it is, it's reflected in the select board minutes rather than here. So,
And I didn't know about
Yeah.
it, Chief didn't know about it,
No.
so it was not done.
yeah.
No, I don't believe it was done.
Oversight.
So should these be modified in any way to say there wasn't a roll call vote? Or just leave them as they are? Or just take this as an educational point?
I just leave it as an educational vote, but not,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I'll leave them as they are. because we didn't do the vote, it's not in there.
Right.
Yep.
Do you recall too, this is just an aside, did we as a committee vote on anything at that meeting?
No, you wouldn't have been able to because it was executive session, so.
There's no notes of the executive session. It's only the notes of the meeting. We came upstairs here afterwards.
If you had voted on something, you would have still had to go in an open meeting and have the minutes put in that you did something.
Yeah.
I suspect you did nothing.
No,
other
I
than
think we
listen.
just,
No,
No.
because you came up here
There was
and
no vote.
continued your
Spoke.
meeting.
Right, so, okay. Point taken, thank you. Let's move on to April 29th.
but we still need
Oh,
to get a motion to accept and second.
excuse me, motion to accept the March 26th minutes as written.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mark.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm abstaining because I wasn't even there.
Okay. And the last ones are April 29th, which was not very long ago. Thank you, thank you. You can both have one because I'm here.
Thank you.
Christina, you can take this one, it's just one page, ignore the back.
Comments or questions?
Can I just ask what task 7 is?
You'll have a chance. We got a whole paper on it.
It's a comparison of all the,
Comparison is.
yeah, of similar sized towns and different things, yeah.
Motion to accept as written.
Moved.
Second, please.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I'll take that one back if I may, or do you need a copy of it? A hard
I would
copy?
like a copy, but I bet someone will
Yeah, no,
lend
I-
theirs. I like
These
to
are-
keep it for my
Aren't you
files.
good? Yeah. Those are all of them.
Oh, I just need the
All right,
April
you
20
want me to take
because
the
I
others?
have the others. Thank you. All right. So I put in land reports so that we could at least talk about the successful vote at town meeting. Scott, do you have anything to say, or should we just feel grateful that?
Well, I think it's only the first step.
Well, of course it is,
So,
but it's a good first
so,
step.
Yep.
So may I ask it, the select board and you have to determine when a vote on this will be taken. Can you say whether the purchase and sale has been finalized? Is the agreement finalized, or is that still in the works, or can't you say?
It's not finalized yet. The select board's meeting tomorrow night just to talk about one detail of it. And then hopefully it'll get into the attorneys and they'll finish that up.
Okay, so that's still in process, and that will have to be finished before it goes to vote, to ballot, paper ballot.
Is it before, yes, but I think we can, we can schedule it as we're moving forward with the P&S.
Right, so that is another task before you and the select board this Tuesday to determine when we might
The
have
date.
the,
For the election, yes.
so you will actually be setting a date at the next meeting?
After tomorrow night, hopefully.
Well, it has to be negotiated.
Yeah, I mean, with landowner too, but yes. I mean, we will debate it tomorrow night at select board to figure out, there's a couple of possibilities as you know, sort of the mid-June and then early September are kind of two options. Trying to avoid July and August pretty much. During the town voting during summertime is probably not very likely. So we'll talk about the pros and cons and come up with what our recommendation is, and then hopefully can work that out with the landowners and then make that happen. Yep, so that's tomorrow's night agenda. We're having a meeting just basically to talk about that.
Do we as a committee have an opportunity to weigh in? Just offer opinions, not suggestions about timing? Or is that not even? Will you listen?
I'm here.
Well, if it is to be put off until September, then how do you envision it would be the ballot at the or a separate ballot at the primary election?
That's an option, yeah. Just to run a second ballot at the same time as the state primary.
Right, and how would that fit in with the special town meeting?
Well, that's part of the debate. Because I think, then we'd have to worry about, when we would do a special town meeting. Oftentimes, we haven't done them until late fall, early winter sometime. I mean, oftentimes we've had them like November, December, sometimes January. So I don't know if we want to, that's part of the discussion, I think, in terms of waiting too long. What are the drawbacks of doing it?
So you would probably consider, if it goes on a paper ballot in September, putting special town meeting off until October or November?
That would be my thought. I don't think we would do a special town meeting right around the time of the ballot.
Right, I think it would be confusing. And does the committee, do any committee members have any thoughts or comments on timing?
Usually if there's a special town meeting, it's because there's a variety of other issues that have to be dealt with too.
Right.
So it's not just this particular thing, whereas on the ballot it would be just this particular thing.
I'm a little confused. Why would we need a special town meeting for this? We already voted at town meeting.
No, Cindy, we're having a special town meeting for the feasibility study, to approve the plan for the new public safety building.
You mean to approve the funding for the architectural
It's what
design
we
and the
voted to
building?
delay.
I see, okay. Yeah.
So it's two separate matters
Yes, right,
now.
okay.
And I'm trying, so I'm just trying to get an idea of the select board.
So when you do have the special town meeting and this would be on it, then you would still have to go for a vote
Yes.
after?
Not for the land purchase.
No, I'm talking about the
Yeah,
The
building
multi-millions.
and everything
for the
else.
cost or any kind of further design and construction. Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
And at one time you were talking about getting that onto the November ballot.
Ballot or
Or at the time of the general election.
Yeah, that's a good point, because we know we expect that'll be a big turnout. It's a presidential year.
November would be, yeah. So that, that's, yeah. So again, do we want to do something, back to back, or just deal right now? We got the land to deal with first.
Right.
So I think we need to kind of personally wrap that up as soon as we can, and then move on to the next phase and bring that up as a, kind of get the land part under our belt and then move on to the next phase, which could be somewhere the September, November timeframe, possibly, yeah.
If I'm understanding Christina correctly, though, we will need a town meeting to vote on the cost of the entire project.
Special town meeting.
Special
yeah.
town meeting.
Before
Therefore,
bringing it up
if
on
we
the ballot.
really like the idea of getting the vote on the ballot in November, we got to do a special town meeting, and it's like 35 days minimally between. So that does kind of crunch the calendar a little,
I
doesn't
think
it?
one of the issues that the chief brought up was, before we do the funding for the architecture design,
Yeah.
that we get a better hold of what the entire cost is gonna be. And we
Yeah.
might wanna put those together, because if we spend $3 million on the first part and it doesn't pass the larger part, then you would
We
essentially
want to
waste
include,
it.
we want to include them in the same cost, in the same warrant.
So the design
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 and then
and
the
construction.
and construction.
We want, I mean, that's my opinion, we want it in the same article.
Yeah. No dispute there.
So more gymnastics to do in terms
is.
of timing.
I think it would be easier for our committee if we knew one way or the other what our land situation is.
Yeah, before we know the land situation, there's no sense of going
Oh, I
further
agree.
with anything. So the real question in my mind is, when does this go in front of the town as a ballot question?
Yeah, no, that's what we got, that's why we're meeting tomorrow night, to figure that out. What makes the most sense.
And I think once we have that, then we can start talking about where do you think we need to land with a special town meeting on this?
Yeah, and at what point does our work with HKT finish up too? Which
Mhm.
we need to take a look at where,
Right, we still need to submit task 7 to them.
right, among other things, probably.
Right. My thought just slipped my mind. Well, then also if the town purchases, if that is successful, then we have the opportunity to reassess the land
Yes.
and see where the optimal place, site is for the building. And I'm thinking that that would be beneficial to know whether we have that opportunity before HKT is off the books, before they finish up. That would be another argument from my point of view, to have the ballot earlier rather than later.
I have a question, and I know I'm late to all this, but at town meetings, when discussing the land, there wasn't a lot of talk about the overall cost. It didn't really come up in questions or anything, but
The overall cost of the
the
land.
40 million, you know, the project itself. And so voting, you know, when people are going to vote on whether to acquire the land or not, is the effort going to be to explain that it's going to be a really big project and it's going to cost us much, or is it just try to get the land purchased? Because as a voter, I'd kind of want to know, it's for the public safety building. Somebody said, yeah, it's going to be $10 million, that's different than it's going to be $40 million.
Sure. Well, I think the land isn't just for the public
Right.
safety building.
Yeah.
It's for whatever other community use it would be, you know, whether it's affordable housing or maybe even a COA, I don't know. But, so I think the land, the thought process behind this was if the town rejects the 54 acres or 56 acres, the location is very good for the town of Southampton for other needs other than the public safety building. If that had failed, we still had the option to buy, we had a donated landlocked parcel, and we had the option to buy a frontage to that. That frontage, I think, was $550,000. So the idea was, go with this first. In the event that this fails, we still have that option for the lower amount of money.
And everything's been public. You've had the sessions already about what the public safety building could end up costing and
Right.
what it would entail. So
Right.
it's not like it's a secret agreement.
No, everything
No.
is,
No.
yes.
Was presented at the public
Yeah.
forum.
Yeah,
Right.
and the forum and everything is up on the
Yeah.
website, so the whole video and everything is up there. So if anybody's watched it, it's been there, yeah. for-
But I think you're right, that there's probably a very large percentage of the public that just hasn't
Yeah.
paid attention to this.
Yeah.
We're very concerned about that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I watched everything the last couple of days, and the dollars are, it's shocking how expensive the project is going to be.
Yes.
You know, $1,000 a square foot.
Mhm. And,
More so as time goes on.
I know. Well, doubled in 4 years or something, the cost, but potential
Yeah.
cost.
Yeah.
From the last time it was presented, it's tripled.
Yeah.
per square feet.
Yeah. So my only point is that that's information that voters might want to know, but it's going to be, if buy the land and then go ahead with the facility, it's a significant issue for the town.
We have done our due diligence in trying to make this least costly as possible, even right down to the design, the flat roof design of it, right? If you saw cutting out what were non-necessities like parking areas, covered parking areas, carports. We just cut out as much as we could to try to drop those prices down as much as possible.
I guess my question, my point is, how much, I know there's a brochure, there's a flyer and everything. How much sales should go in like now to explain why this is, the facilities are not good that we have today? We gotta do this.
It's
You
part,
can't do it for any less than what we've talked about.
So as we go on, Reggie, today's meeting, you'll actually see some of the public outreach that we're doing. We'll be discussing a brochure that we're sending out to all the residents. We're having tours at the police department and fire department, so we're trying to get all that out now just to get it out to the public, but there's a lot.
It's tough. I mean, it's almost like this has to be done.
And that was our biggest concern, was the price.
Yeah.
Because I think in the majority, the public supports the idea of this. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
and I think once the whole acreage, the entire acreage was offered, the land itself became a slightly different project.
Yeah.
And we can't just focus on the whole parcel for the public safety building. So there has been a little bit of confusion as far as, well, the select board has had to determine how to proceed with voting on the whole parcel, and then we all along have been pursuing. So as a committee, we decided to take off this town meeting, the annual town meeting warrant, take off any funding for the public safety building, because we need to know about the land. And truly, it is a bigger thing. And if the public safety building is rejected, that land will be used by for some other purpose. So in my mind, it's sort of two separate pursuits, and we have to get the land under our belt or into our ownership first. All the while that we are trying to build public engagement.
Yeah, and I think just to add to that, I think getting the land sort of finalized, shall we say, that allows, and between that time, assuming, say for example, that were to happen in June, that allows the summer, maybe into September sometime, to talk about what else would be happening on this entire property, and having more discussions with the various committees, maybe getting more word out about all of that too, so that when it came up later in the fall, it would be a little bit more clear what we're trying to do. We've had to be a little bit vague on that up at the present time, but getting the land is definitely the first step, and then we can start doing some planning about what are the needs of the various other committees and how much is needed. We talk about, the Park Commission or affordable housing or whatever else, but it's like we don't have a clue whether they need, 5 acres or 10 acres, so that's the kind of thing that would have to be still worked on and developed over the summer months, I would think.
Just on the side, has anybody approached Pioneer Valley Planning to see if a land use expert?
Not yet, they've got them.
Okay.
There definitely are some there, and we've got somebody on our select board who's been very involved in land use planning as well. So amongst us all, we'll get somebody, I'm sure. Okay.
Okay, so I think we're ready to move on. So Chief, you asked for this to be, to compare and contrast the feasibility studies, ours with Lee's. on this committee, but I would ask, would it be better just to defer or delay that until we have HKT in on this to make comment, or do you?
Certainly. I think just to get Reggie up to date on this is, if you don't mind me.
No,
just
please.
So as we were looking at other towns with public safety complexes, we did that comparison with other towns, and through research, we recognized that Lee just recently in December had an annual town meeting, and they approved an article for a public safety complex. There's a pretty large gap in the costs between theirs and ours. And theirs is about 10,000 square feet larger. And mind you, it's the same, pretty much the same size town, same resources. In fact, we're a little bit more populated. And their square foot cost, I think, was
$740.
$740. So we reached out to HKT to see if they can, and we sent them a copy of the feasibility study from Lee, to see if they could kind of look at this with their cost estimators and find out what's the difference. Is there regional differences? What is it? And they just haven't gotten back to us yet.
And I will add to that feasibility, the date on that was January 23, and HKT's costing was based on 2025. And if the, so there is some difference just in the time of the costing. And so, according to my calculations, if, you know, HKT has said that prices have gone up about 10%, 7 to 10% annually. And so that would bring, just doing that math, I've come up with $895 from a 2023 cost to a 2025 cost.
Per square foot?
Yeah. So there is some there, but that is still less than the square foot price that HKT put forward.
Did they have to incorporate all the new code in Lee? The roof and the chargers?
Oh, the energy codes?
Yeah.
We don't, well, they were not so imminent then. Now it's.
They did include a roof that was PV ready, and they did include the infrastructure for charging stations.
But we don't know yet whether they included triple glazed, what is it called? Triple glazed windows. And that would be a huge increase. And that is part of the energy code, apparently. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of the energy code.
I did notice all of their, except for the plumbing was higher. But the electrical, HVAC, those are all lower. And by a significant amount. About, you know, what the square footage would be. So it's not just the windows.
No. Oh, I'm not saying that, Mark. I'm just taking note that we don't know. It hasn't been determined by you, right, because you're the one who has studied it the most, I think, and maybe Chief. That question hasn't been answered.
I think HKT has some questions that need to be answered.
And I'm sure they will. They had to go to the cost estimator, and Chief has been in touch with them.
So I wondered too if one of the differences would be whatever we would have been talking about for the HVAC system compared to whatever Lee was talking about. Are they?
I think per square foot they were much less.
Well, HKT is going to respond to it. They just, and so I think rather than spending time on it, we should await their response to the chief's questions.
It's a legitimate question, I think, that we might have to answer to.
Sure.
Oh, of course, of course. We need to have every bit of information that we can about this project. And actually, I think it's very advantageous that Lee has such a current set of figures to compare to so that we do know what other, this is our best comparison, it seems to me.
Right.
And HKT can respond right to it.
Even their
point by
square
point.
footage. Even their
Yes.
square footage estimates of each department.
Well, so there also was included in that feasibility study, building safety/land use. That was a separate category that required square footage, and then also the health department. So that would add square footage, but can someone define for me what building safety land use department, I guess, is?
Building inspector.
Oh, that's the building inspector? So those two departments are
Be folded in.
included in this public safety building. So that adds some amount of footage,
Yeah,
square
right.
footage, and may help to explain some of the extra square
And they also have an
footage.
extra bay. They have an extra fire department bay.
Right, okay.
We have, in ours it's 4.
Four,
They have
they have
5.
5, okay.
Land use, I think it's come up a little bit, the concept of having somebody on staff that looks at planning, supports the planning board, and somebody on staff that maybe is the Conservation Commission agent, and those kind of fall into the category of land use.
Okay, all right.
That's what
So
I mean.
so their offices are included in this building. All right, we'll move on unless, is there anything more that should be said about the feasibility study? With luck, Janet and Amy will be joining us at our next meeting. So the brochure.
The brochure, yes.
Do you have a copy of it?
I have just one copy. I can make, but I just made one
May I
copy.
share yours with you just for a moment?
I sent it out to everybody. Everyone got
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
Trouble reading it.
Yeah, I did reading it on.
I didn't make copies, but I can go burn a couple copies
Yeah,
if you
that's
want.
fine. You got an extra?
Yeah.
I know Chris is always saying that.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie.
Fold it.
Right,
Yeah.
That's outside.
correct.
One next year.
So, Chief, did you have a chance to review it and make sure they did all of the corrections that you requested or modifications that you requested?
I didn't review it in its entirety. I didn't go word for word, because I figured we'd be looking at it anyway here. If there's any other changes that need to be made. But I did give it a review, and everything seemed to be the way it was. The one thing I did note that was that we're on the front page, it would be the town of Southampton. Seems like it's pretty small font. If I remember correctly, we wanted that bigger font, a larger font.
Yeah, and I would think we'd want, indeed, that on now is the time below that. Do we need to make the workplace in such a large font?
I agree with that.
Yeah, it almost feels like those two fonts are kind of reversed a little bit. I would want to see now Town of Southampton and then
Second line.
make the workplace safe for your public safety staff and community, a little bit smaller font, and then at the bottom, under that, I would actually suggest moving now is the time or something. Or it could be up there too, as long as they've got the 2 in there, now is the time to make the workplace safety, but you could also just move that at the bottom and just put now is the time, period. They're probably tired of us moving.
Yeah, I think maybe some simple font changes, but
Yeah.
if we go through this again and I submit it to them, I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of, I think they're giving away a lot of their time for this. I think they're really trying to help out as much as they can. I just
Yeah.
don't want to overburden them.
Yeah, so I would just recommend that those fonts get changed though, because I think that really, I think we need to have Southampton bigger than that.
There is a typo
Yeah.
on liability for all.
Yep.
Where's that?
Oh, for,
Yeah.
oh,
Historic buildings, there's no R on 4.
Yep.
right.
Where's that?
Right.
Oh, 4.
I know you don't want to change this, but I'll say it anyways, where it says not up to code, how about not up to life safety codes? I said it.
You know, it's just gonna bring the font out maybe larger. I just, we went through it pretty thoroughly the last meeting. If we see some my own feelings. If we see some typos, obviously, and if we want to change some font, that might be something, but
Yeah.
if we start changing the language again,
You don't have to.
you know, I just don't want to.
Well, you had recommended another wording for that last time, and we decided just to go with this. I forget what you said at this time, but, yeah, that one typo definitely needs changing.
Yeah, that actually, they didn't shrink the font. My notes indicate to shrink the font, so.
There's also a typo under the existing fire department building section. The second line there, equipment is spelled wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Inadequate and unsafe door clearance.
Yeah.
Equipment, it should be MENT.
Mhm.
I also see that they use just the,
Could read it 5 times, you'll see the one.
just the designation for foot here. Some people might not know what that means.
What's
You know,
that?
the little asterisk, it's not an asterisk, it's like an apostrophe for the foot.
The symbol for foot?
Yeah, it's a symbol for foot, and I don't know that that's clear.
Where is that?
In the same place as equipment spelled wrong, 3 lines down from that, less than 1
Foot.
foot, but it should be spelled out foot.
You think? Okay.
And at the bottom of that, it says funded by, but there's nothing there.
Because I haven't given,
You
I have
haven't
not
given
got
it
a
to me.
response yet.
Okay, great,
That's why that wasn't.
okay.
I think professional is spelled wrong too.
Yeah, it
Where it
should
says
have 2
back,
S.
yep, that's spelled
Under the
wrong.
station entry one?
Yes.
Yes, it needs 2 S's. And then I guess my other comment right there, under all of these, they seem to be putting capitalization on some of these
Certain words.
keywords. So right under that, you've got inadequate utility infrastructure, all capitalized, garage unsuitable, capitalized. You may as well do the shared office space capitalized to keep it consistent.
Yeah, I've seen that
So,
on some of the other
Office
descriptions.
space are not capitalized, which, if you want to be consistent
In a
with
way, I
everything else
leave off
they've
the
done.
capitals.
Yeah, I would leave off the capitals too.
Well, I would too, but
All right, well, we
that's
can-
too much of a change.
No, it's not, I think that's easy.
They should be at the beginning, shared, inadequate, and garage should all have capital first letters, and then beyond that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, so leave them off there, and then same thing with both buildings. I wouldn't put a capital on buildings up on the very top level.
Correct.
But then, if you do that,
Basic
then you've got to go
stuff.
back to the fire department one and do the same thing. Because every other word is
it
capitalized
Becky
up there.
that's
So you either keep them
doing
capitalized or you don't.
Becky Nimmons?
It was
I
this
know
like
she's-
design stuff.
I know she's, involved. I don't know exactly who's doing it, but Becky, my meetings have been with Becky and John.
Because Becky worked on something a few years ago that I was involved in, and she seemed to appreciate that I was standing there and making suggestions kind of over her shoulder. Maybe she didn't, she was very polite about it, but, I just think if you better.
I'm not gonna stand.
You're not
over
gonna
her.
do that?
Yeah,
Come on, Chief.
No.
You have power.
No, we were,
I have to make one more comment. Don't support recruitment and retention of what?
Staff recruitment and
Yeah.
retention.
Yeah.
I put in the word staff, yeah, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think we should just agree or not on the capitalization.
let's just keep it simple and no capitals.
Just keep
Right.
that first-
Keep it
that first
consistent,
word
the first word,
capitalized.
yep, okay.
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
And you're willing to ask them to put in staff?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think they can fit that.
I mean, they already, with
Yeah.
some of the spelling errors, they already have that
Yeah.
in there a little bit anyway.
All right, so let us not tarry on this too much further. With these few modifications, can we agree that Chief can go back?
And the background is going to be white, the way it is. I mean, that's not just a sample, it's going to be white.
white.
That is, yeah, whatever submitted through, whatever I submitted to everybody, I printed out black and white, so
Yeah.
yes, yes. That would be the color scheme.
All right, so a few typos, a few changes.
And is it going to be this grade paper, as far as you know?
No, it's a different type of stuff.
Okay.
It's more cardstock, a heavier
Cindy,
weight.
that's my cheap paper at the office.
Thank you.
They don't use
Thank
it
you.
expensive.
Sorry. Yep.
And they will be doing the mailing, is that correct?
Yes. Which is included in that cost.
Correct.
Right.
And have we decided when this will go out, once finished? Are we going to send it out as soon as it is ready?
I would wait until the land purchase.
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
Me too.
How about, should we contemplate as soon as the land is decided upon?
I'm comfortable with that.
Well, but what it doesn't have, I know I'm coming in late, you're gonna hate me for this, but what it doesn't have is, what do you need to do, Southampton? You're receiving this, you need to attend, you need to vote for it, you need to attend town meetings.
Well, that's what that QR code thing would be, right? On the bottom?
All this says is the video tour. It doesn't say tells you what next steps are. You know, I just feel like this is so important, it's gonna go to every single household that's available. And by the way, renters are not gonna get this. It's just gonna, I mean, if we use the labels that the town clerk can access, it's just homeowners that are gonna get this, unless we find out who the renters are. And this is the opportunity to spell out what we need from people. We already talked about how because it's going to be privately funded, more direction can be given.
But it is very late, as far as this particular contract goes, to start modifying it to that degree. There's not open space on this. I agree with you, Cindy, but I don't know
where you put it.
how we can make that adjustment at this
Without a
time.
complete redesign.
Yeah.
You gotta keep it simple because people are just gonna look at it and toss it anyways. It's
Right.
not like a lot of people are gonna pour over each detail like we did.
And put it up on their corkboard to keep referring to.
So what prohibits us from having a second flyer closer to the meeting?
That's exactly what I
Well,
was
that's a good
thinking, that we try to get some funding to do a second flyer at a slightly later date, closer to special town.
Which will have the date on it and
Yep.
the location
And focus on the very things that you're suggesting.
Okay.
So are you saying that this might be mailed out before the June ballot?
No.
Not at all?
I don't think so. I think we've agreed as a committee, tell me if I'm wrong, that we don't want to probably send this out to confuse the issue. Let's get the land clarified and then jump on a full-blown effort to gain public support.
And that second flyer would have not only the date and location of the town meeting that they need to vote, but it'll have more information on what the proposed cost is and a little explanation as to why.
And I would like it to have an image of the building itself, the proposed building,
Yeah,
so that they're actually seeing what they're going to be voting on.
I think it's important from a marketing position not to focus too much on your staff's being difficult to do the job, but what's in it for the taxpayer. I mean, the fact that, I was thinking about it myself, I'd be happier to live in a town that has a facility that I know is going to be around for a long time and can support the fire and the police. And you know, if I go to sell the house and these guys are in lousy buildings and can't recruit because of that, I think that affects the value of my property.
Yeah.
So I think you got to think who the audience is, and the audience are people who are apathetic for the most part, and they need to know why we're doing this, not just because these guys' staffs are going to be, more comfortable. It's going to be what's in it for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I am of the opinion that the recruitment and retention of good staff is a real selling point for.
I mean, that's key. If we don't do it, what happens?
Right.
I mean, the buildings continue to deteriorate if you can't get any staff.
Well,
Then you start thinking about things like, well, why don't we combine with East Hampton, or things that no one's going to want.
oh yeah, yeah.
Because I mean, really, people could just say no. They could say no time after time.
Well, the other thing I believe is that if it doesn't pass this time, it will be very demoralizing for our present departments. And I can't, it wouldn't surprise me if there was an exodus. It just, to think that there is no hope in sight for another number of years, although I will say if it doesn't pass this time, we're not going to stop. I don't think we can. We have to keep trying.
We got to make it pass. We have to build on what has happened in the last few years. We support our police, we support our fire. We have to build on that whole thing with, signs on people's lawns right now, and give a reason and how we can support our police and fire.
I think, like I've said from the start, it all comes down to that price tag. And I really think we need to reevaluate. I don't know. Maybe we can't. I guess I'm looking forward to see what HKT's assessment is.
I don't know how we can get it down very much. We keep saying you didn't ask for anything extra.
No.
And even if we got down by 1 or 2 million, it's still a very hefty price tag. One of the things I talked to our principal assessor is to help come up with the projections of what it's going to mean on the taxes, and to help us with those numbers. So when people say, well, how's it going to impact me? I own a $350,000 house. What's the impact for me?
I did a little back of the envelope just for kicks, and it was like 15% increase in taxes.
Yeah.
Consider we spend 20 million, and it would be.
Don't forget, this doesn't even include the furniture or the tech part of it and the outfitting of the buildings. It's just the building.
This is just
No,
it has to
it's
be.
soft fire.
That
was in there too?
This is
Those are the soft costs, and those
That
are
was in there?
included.
Oh, I apologize.
I was going to ask, does it include the land, the 40 million, does it include the land, or is that separate?
No.
That's going to be separate.
So, it's significant enough that I think it's important to communicate it. Because you don't want to go into it saying, oh, this is great, and not really push the fact that it is so expensive, but that there are no alternatives.
Right.
The alternatives are very unpleasant.
So the argument is can you afford to spend $40 a month more or $10 a week to take and
You have to
get your
improve
community more
the property,
viable?
your community.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a lot. It's going to be, based on my numbers, and these are really probably, this is financing it over 20 years, that, if you're paying $5,000 in taxes, you'd go up $750, you'd be at 57.
So $750.
Yeah, $750 is a lot.
Yeah, they're $50 a month.
That's
more.
Yeah, it's a lot.
DLS has a calculator if you're interested as well.
Okay.
You Google DLS property math calculator. It does a rough calculation for you.
Could it be 30 years rather than 20?
I'm sure, I don't know.
I think that was proposed.
What,
As a 30-year.
something a 30-year,
Yeah.
better last 30 years.
Yeah, it's designed, it's sort of
Yeah.
make it more palatable if it was
Yeah.
30 years versus
Yeah.
20.
Yeah.
Well, yes, and that's how this building has been designed, right? 30 years out?
50.
50.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, and certainly some of our interest rates have been favorable for the last things that Jen has gone out to borrow. They've been pretty much in our favor, I think.
Yeah.
I
They
don't
stay
know
that
what
way.
they are today though, because the rates are so high.
Yeah.
So that'd be kind of important too, to just test, you know, how we would finance it.
Well, we also have eligibility of federal loans too. So and those rates are usually less than
Yeah.
usually. But we're not close enough to that.
No.
I've only been doing this for 15 years. I think it'd been quicker going out there with a shovel and just start building it.
Do you know, Scott, do you know what financing options are available for a project like this, or?
Yeah, it'd probably be closer to 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
As far as the interest rates, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, Jen would have to.
That'd be interesting to know.
I think that is information that we'll have to have ready
Yeah.
for, at our, we're planning on another public forum too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that
What
is,
are my taxes gonna go up?
Yeah, that's going to be a large topic of discussion.
and what are the consequences if you don't vote to have your taxes?
I mean, at some point, it's kind of the end of the town. I mean, it's a little extreme, but at some point, you
Right.
don't support the town's just gonna deteriorate. You know, people aren't gonna wanna live here.
So looking at a tax increase in 2026 at this point.
Yeah, when would it hit the
Yeah.
tax bill as well? Yeah. So, but I think some of these changes on the brochure are good. I was just going to say that, you know, on that front page, the folder, when they've got that, if we make those font changes, then I think it's going to be easier also for them to put the address in that little blue label, because right now that ampersand sign kind of moves right into the blue spot on the front. Yeah, so where the and sign is.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so by making that a smaller
Right.
font, then
Yeah.
that's gonna not be so funny looking with the
Right.
label that they have to put in there.
It probably should look more like the reverse side.
Yeah, I
The
mean-
the font comparison.
Yeah,
You know, at least
something
did
like
it.
that.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep. And it was actually on the one, what I submitted to them,
Yeah.
make font smaller, so.
yeah.
All right. So, anything further, moving on to public engagement? That's sort of been melded into our conversation.
We have the tours this weekend. I'll put the
Great.
signs out. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, you got a great message out on Facebook, but I think, you know, not everybody's on Facebook, so I
Yeah.
think having signs out
Yeah,
would
we
be
can put
good.
the electronic signs out, you know,
Great.
for this weekend.
Great.
Yeah.
For the upcoming weekend.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, there's a little bit of response, I thought on Facebook, at least like, oh, wow, this sounds like fun. So I mean, I think you might get some takers.
Sure.
Yeah,
And with the Gazette came and did a tour, had an article in the paper,
yeah.
so.
Really?
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah?
nice one.
That's a report
Well,
of
and
the
the
town
fact-
meeting.
Well, what a handsome guy.
Yeah, yeah, and so but she came and did the tour after town meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, okay, okay, so I haven't seen that.
Yeah, so this is a brand new reporter, and this is today's Gazette.
I think the other one, that's online. I don't know if it made the paper copy of it, but it's online. It's gazette.net. So our tour,
Yeah,
that's already been published, but I don't think it made the actual paper.
Yeah, it's well, no, not the dates of the tour, is that what you mean?
No, when she just came and visited with us last
you've got
week.
you probably have more photos on the online version of the Gazette.
Right, there is more photos.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's the same article then?
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think she did write up the tour
No,
per se, right? No?
no, I don't believe so.
No, yeah. So that talked about two things at town meeting, but the main thing was about the station. Yeah. No, it was good. Nice coverage.
I keep trying to think of where we might put our big
I know, that was
signboards.
gonna be my next question. We've got those great signboards that we had at the forum. We need to get them visible somewhere.
So here's what I wondered, could they go into private establishments? It occurred to me that there is a flood of people going to Fletcher Farm right now. Can we ask private businesses to display? We have not come up with a public building yet. I mean, library, we're trying to get them seen by as many.
Our only thought had been the library, really, in terms of where you get a good traffic flow, I think. I mean, there's not
The library's going to have the book sale on Saturday, although I have a feeling they're not going to have any space for the signs.
Yeah, that, with the easels, they take up a pretty large
Yeah.
space, and I just thought, that was another reason I thought of the Fletchers. Now, I have no idea whether they'd be interested, but I'm just trying, I don't mind having them in my house, but I'd like to make use of them.
That's
Well,
right.
I know years ago, we used Pure Food, and we had those posters made.
And they were posted out inside?
Inside, at the door going out. In fact, Pure Food is one of the sites where we post our town meeting warrant. Where else do we post our town meeting warrant?
Training
can't
posts
imagine.
statewide and 2 or 3 others.
Yeah, maybe that's what we need to do, is
Yeah.
follow through where we post it down.
But they
That's
take
it.
up so much
The
room.
easels take up so much room there, I think that's hard.
And Pure
Pure Food, Donnie, when he was alive, he had no problem, he just took it
Yeah, I
and put
don't
it
know
up.
where they put it, but, I mean, the other thing is, you know, with the library and the book sale on Saturday, I mean, you could almost, if the weather was good, you could put them out on the porch as you enter the library, but I
Oh, that'd be
think
great.
it's gonna rain on Saturday.
Rain wouldn't matter, but wind would.
Yeah, exactly, so that doesn't look like it's a great option.
Well, can you at least post them at the stations for when people come through? Can they be outside the stations?
There's just not a lot of people that do that traffic in the station.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And they're gonna
And
go
they
through
couldn't
it.
We
be
don't have a lot of room in
outside.
the lobby, I mean, there's no room in our lobby, really.
yeah,
We'd have to.
If it's pouring rain,
Pouring
I
lobby.
guess outside is
Yeah,
not a good
right.
idea.
right,
You mean right when you come in?
Yes, yeah.
yeah.
There's no room there, especially with easels, we have to post them on the wall. Actually, there's not really room on the wall. So
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
On the fence at the transfer station. The exiting
That's,
fence
they always look at the fence when they drive through.
going out.
Yeah. Across the street.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we don't have I mean, even downstairs,
There's just no traffic,
We don't
none.
have a lot of foot traffic in the town buildings.
No.
you don't.
That's why I've shifted over to public buildings, and I don't know, that there aren't very many options here in town.
I would ask Vicki at Pure Food.
Can't we have them in the hallway as people go in to vote on next Tuesday? Not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday, the 21st?
Yeah, that,
Minimally, because there's a lot of traffic going to come through then
yeah.
for the elections. I hope so, anyway. I mean, we just really have to take advantage of that when people come through.
Could maybe, I mean, it's not on the ballot, so it's nothing.
And they're
that
not
we're trying to
political.
Promote one way or another,
I
really.
think
yeah,
the
we're not-
question that came up though, and I don't know whether it was decided or answered, but will it confuse people who are going into,
Yeah,
well, no, they're not voting on the land.
No,
No, it should, I would think that we should, that would get a lot of townspeople, we can figure out,
Something
but
they
they
could
have to be
go-
wall mounted, I think.
well, are they,
no, they could be.
In the hallway?
they could be maybe on the bulletin board side between the treasurer and the town clerk's office.
Yeah, how many are there?
4.
Chris?
5.
5?
They could maybe fit in there.
I'm sorry to say I didn't see them. Are they as large as that
Yeah, they're good
board
size.
right there? Yeah.
little
Other
small.
way around,
But, yeah.
Okay.
they're good size.
Yeah. But,
Well, we can take, if the clerk would agree, we could take down the one that's right outside the clerk's office right now. She's got a whiteboard out there, I think. That's one, and put that also to the left of the clerk's office. That's 2. We could put some on front of that glassed case that has some
the bulletin
historical
board
items in
between the
it.
treasurer and the town clerk's office.
Yeah.
You could put
In
that.
front of select board?
Well,
I was wondering about in the select board room, but that,
People aren't gonna go
People
in
come
there.
kind of quick through, you know.
People aren't gonna go in
There's
there.
not many people even in the meetings there, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
But you couldn't really go through that double door to the select board room, because then you've got a narrower hallway, number one, and then you've got all the precinct
Right.
on the right-hand
That's right.
side. so
right.
You really need it in that
In the-
beginning as you
in
come in
the
the main door
foyer.
somewhere. So there could be one, kind of as you're going into the
I
main,
bet you could make it work.
I think so. Put
Yeah.
one toward the main area as you were going down
Yeah.
towards, you know,
Yeah.
The
Hanging
doors
on
toward-
the
toward the hallway
windows,
here.
right? On the
That's-
inside.
Oh, how about on the windows, yeah? One above the other, maybe,
You mean the outdoor windows? The
Yeah.
ones that go
But inside.
inside?
Depending on the weather, we can also put them outside the COA as they walk out.
As they walk out.
Or at that end of the voting room, which, as they're exiting, if the weather's a problem and if it's windy, we don't want them blowing away, but
Yeah, I don't know if they'd want to have too many people congregate right there after they
That's
vote.
true,
I think they want
that's
to probably
true.
keep traffic
yeah.
moving would be my guess, but.
well, that's this, slightly the same issue going in.
Yeah.
If there's a congestion of people looking at the signs.
Well, maybe then the best thing is, unless there's some other meeting occurring between noon and 8 PM, put them in the select board room and just let
Signs.
people walk around there. No, bad
I think
idea?
people are going to go in there.
Right.
Well, if you put signage up
Yeah.
directing people in, I don't know.
I don't know.
Let's say, as soon as they enter,
People are going to come in and
Yeah.
vote.
we can make it work, right?
Okay.
As soon as they enter, we can make it work.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll do that.
All right. Do we
Yeah,
have
let's
enough
try that, at
pencils?
least get one,
Yeah.
one set of, I mean, get whatever we can. I mean, if
When
we
is,
can put
when
up
is
one-
town vote?
The 21st, and I
And
think
it's
it's
between noon and 8 PM.
Noon to 8, yeah, it's only a half day. That's just for all the town official voting. So, town officials, elected committees, whatever.
What day is that again?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Next.
A week from this Tuesday. A week from tomorrow. 8 days from now.
Posted on our agenda. The town election. Here, I took it back.
What?
I just saw it. No, it's there. I didn't see it on my jump. It's down there under 21. Something else
Okay.
got in my way. It's actually on there twice now. It's weird. That's what I didn't see. But
So I did send out
it's-
emails blindly, so people didn't know, hey, sent them out to try to see if there were some town residents who have expressed a strong support for this, to coordinate, what do we call it, a municipal, what do we call that? The
Committee?
Municipal ballot effort or something.
municipal ballot committee.
yeah.
And nobody responded. Nobody, I don't know why people are dodging me in the big Y, but they're dodging me with the Y.
I think it's because you like the delegate.
I do. Although I'm beginning to think I should be involved in this. And from what I understand last time, as long as a member of this committee is not on the finance aspect of it, we can still be involved in the municipal ballot committee. Is that right, Scott? Did I get that correctly?
Yeah, you really can't touch any of the financial part of it, the fundraising,
Okay,
counting, anything
yeah.
like that.
I'm really committed to trying to help get out more education, and obviously Reggie's got some good ideas, so you can help for getting out the vote. I'm really thinking we got to kind of break the town down into geographic locations and maybe try to see if people will have neighbors in their house and invite one of us to come
Well,
and
it's probably
speak to
do
them.
focus group meetings or something.
Focus
different-
group, yeah.
different sections of town or something.
Right.
It's gonna take a lot of,
I'm thinking knock on a few doors and see if people want to have a conversation. You can see people love me in my neighborhood, you know, because I'm always calling them up and inviting them to do things. So,
All right, anything, shall we move on from that for today? And so is there other business that can't wait?
well, we were going to do task 7, weren't we?
Yes, I didn't put it on, so that's public engagement. Oh, no, well, it's not really.
so you got a copy of that for Reggie so you can see what it is?
Yeah, we made copies.
I'm sorry, I did not put that on the
Chief,
agenda, so that's other
put-
business.
Can you pass this around, please? And maybe, do you want to give overviews? I guess it's pretty self-explanatory as to what this is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the same.
I'm waiting on the,
Okay.
I reached out to Lee Fire
Oh, you did, okay.
and I talked to the chief on the phone and he was gonna get something together with the old fire station and the new fire station.
Oh, great. That's great.
All right, we're still missing some stuff in here. You can see that. For example, under the future estimates, which is the third column from the left, HKT needs to insert the various parts that are bolded at the bottom. And then, of course, the fire for Lee. And then under Hadley, maybe you can help with this. How many, we never had the answer to, sort of halfway down in the middle, number of ambulances and number of fire vehicles.
Okay.
That needs to be checked.
Now, there's two separate stations there, though, so which, are we trying to compare both stations or just one?
Well, we'll have to put the difference in there. We'll have to put both pieces of data in there. We have that under the net square feet. Above that, the PS is the police station.
Public safety.
Oh, I'm sorry, public safety, yeah. And then the North Hadley station is different. Thank you.
We have HKT has provided us with, in their drawings, with the square footage of those
Can
rooms.
somebody look those up and email them to me? That would be a really big help. If you want to find them.
Is it written out in text what their programming findings were, or is it just in the floor plans?
I don't
Do you
think it was
remember?
in the floor plan. I looked in the floor plan. But this ultimately has to get submitted to HKT anyway.
Yes.
So they'll fill that in. Once they
Okay.
see that, they'll
It's
fill that in.
folded into their report.
Yes.
I mean, this was a
Yes.
task that we decided we would do, Reggie, rather than having HKT do this.
Yeah.
But since you're coming in from total cold on this, as a citizen looking at this, is there anything that isn't a meaningful piece of information for you? Maybe would be helpful just to know, somebody reading it cold. You know, we're trying to compare and contrast things, but I don't know.
Well, I assume there'll be more, I mean, I have one page.
Yeah, some
That's
more
it,
narrative
one
that
page.
goes with
So I
it.
assume that there'll be the cost information too at the bottom, or?
Well, not necessarily, because if you go to the costs and go back 15 years when Granby,
Yeah.
the costs are considerably different. right?
It's not useful information.
So what does this tell me then if I don't?
I think the goal of this, and add on to anybody that wants to follow up, but was to show that these other communities, comparable communities, have the same resources as we do. And Granby has a complex that's, although it's 18,000 square feet, they have a complex similar to what we're looking for. Hadley has 2 facilities. Lee is building almost comparable to what we have.
I think it's to demonstrate that we're not asking for excess.
Right.
But maybe we need a statement about how costs are not included in here because buildings were built at different periods of time under different codes. And it doesn't make sense to compare costs.
We can also just, if that were to be asked, we can answer it just like you just did.
Okay, but if they're just reading it, that's what I'm
It's
saying.
going to be in a report, though. I mean,
Yeah.
This isn't going to be a handout to anybody, right? Just-
No,
It's
it's
gonna
going to be
in a
folded
report.
into or included
Right.
into.
So I don't know if we know,
Well, that kind of statement could be made. We're not,
Yeah.
some text has to be created, I don't know whether by us or HKT, to explain what this chart is, right? So that could be put in with that.
Well, then maybe the next step after we sort of fill in a couple little spots here is to send it to them. I mean, they said we should collect the data, which we've done, and let them sort of think about what else might be needed or create that explanatory paragraph.
It could go right now too, without, I mean,
yeah.
Go now.
yeah, as a draft.
All right.
Do we know when, like Granby and Hadley and everybody was built? I mean,
Yeah,
It says it right there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that
2012.
gives people some idea, or okay, yeah, 1996, sorry, I didn't see that.
I need to modify this. It says draft. You can see I crossed off March 27th at the top because I forgot to change it to May 13th. So if you want, I can do that much and email it to you, and you could send it to HKT if you wanted to. or-
I can. It would be nice just to complete it and send it to them
Yeah.
complete.
Right.
You know, just having it keep on coming back and sending it, it just makes it kind of convoluted. I'd rather just, let's get this thing finished. We've been at it for a while now.
Is HKT charged with helping us getting it approved? Is that part of their contract or not really? They're just doing the pricing out?
My understanding is they're putting together the concept of what this would be, with a preliminary projection of what it would look like, and that's it.
Okay.
But they will be on hand at the town meeting that it's
Yes.
voted at and available to answer questions, just as they appeared at the public forum.
I was just kind of wondering if there's professional help to help us get through the approval and vote process.
Well, they did in their proposal highlight building community support. And so that's a challenge that every town has. So that's all I have to say about that.
Well, it opens a question that when you say support to get it passed, are we talking the actual town meeting? Because we're talking the actual town meeting, we have to have the town moderator approve somebody to speak at that meeting.
Right. So that would be
It's not hard to get him to approve it, we ask him. You think he would?
Yeah. No, the bigger question is when we have to do a final payment to HKT.
Yes.
right,
Because I think,
right.
I don't think their contract was gonna go until September, November. The way it's, we'd have to look at it again, but
No, but I think they have the commitment to attend the town meeting at which.
yeah, no, I agree, but we may end up figuring out whatever that last payment is, maybe
Yeah.
they don't get paid until they do, I don't know.
Well, I would, yeah, that would be something that select board and Scott, you have to approach or negotiate with them.
Can I ask a question? In this town meeting form of government, I have a little experience with it up in Vermont and New Hampshire, a little bit, but it would seem to me that something like this could do well at town meeting, but then get
Yeah.
torpedoed
Yeah.
with the overall vote. 'Cause you're gonna
Usually
force
the way it
it.
happens.
That's often.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's often
Yeah.
the case.
So that,
Yeah.
the effort should really be into getting the word out widely about why it makes sense to do this.
So you were at town meeting the other night, you were
Yeah.
sitting up there with the finance committee, and sometimes it's just a case of really contacting people to get to town meeting. And hopefully people that have expressed support for a particular article. That's kind of what I've seen over the last few years. The meeting the other night was mostly 100% approval of everything,
Right.
except a couple of bylaws.
Yeah.
And that stirred up a lot of conversation and questions, and one of them didn't pass, and one of them we didn't vote on. And it was frustrating, but,
I remember town meeting taking 3 nights.
yeah.
This doing an annual town meeting in 2 hours is like,
I know, but
But if the word's out on the street, your taxes are going up 15 to 20%.
oh,
Because
that's,
it's a
I don't know.
project, that's,
I don't know that will bring people in necessarily.
no, I don't think it'll bring people in, but it'll bring people to the polls.
that's right, it's the ballot question.
Well,
Yeah.
that would be true at the November election, where if it was a special ballot, I think people would come out who actually care, have paid attention. We have a generally
Yes,
lethargic populace, and I don't know, I think that there will be many voters who are unaware of anything other than seeing what's on the ballot at a general election. And I think that's going to be problematic. I think if it's a special ballot, it will be a more focused, more committed group that gets out, both for and against it, but it will be people who care about it, is my opinion.
The previous one, was that voted, where did we lose that? Was it the town vote, or was it the annual town election?
No, it was town
It
meeting.
was town meeting,
Yeah.
okay.
We lost a town meeting?
Yes.
We never went to a ballot.
No, okay.
Yeah.
I don't recall.
We got to do a better job of educating, because I resided in the town at the time, Charlie, and it just didn't get on my radar. I was working and I just didn't.
That's the way, just with 90% of
I
the
know,
population.
Yeah,
You know, it's always been that way.
Yeah.
So one other thing, just on the future column here, I assume we're gonna put in the number of bays and, Southampton future, single bays, double bays, drive-through bays.
Yeah, the zeros there.
We've got
yeah.
0 there, for whatever reason. I mean, we've got to do a good, clear proofread on this and fill in the
Yeah.
blanks before we send this anywhere.
Yeah,
And then
Chief, I think you can do that, right? Those two anyway, single bays and double and drive-through.
I can, I certainly do the police end and the fire, fire, that's 4. Fire, that's 4.
wait a minute. Fire is 4 single bays?
Yep. And police is,
4 bays, you've got 4 double bays and no single bays?
Right.
I know.
Oh, okay.
Right,
So
0
no is
single
correct.
bays, 4 double bays.
All right.
Where
Yeah.
these numbers come from.
What about under the Granby one? They have no single bays, that's why it's 0, correct?
they're all double.
And then they have 5 double, and which are the same as 5 drive-through?
Yeah.
Are we going to have drive-through bays
Yes.
Yes.
in the future? And that's 4?
Yeah.
Yes.
So there'll be 4 doubles and there will be drive-through bays?
Yes.
Okay. All
And
right.
in 2028, I don't see us having 10 cruisers. So I would just go to 8 cruisers
Wait a minute, where's that?
for police vehicles, future. Maybe even 7 vehicles. I see it as 7.
Where's that?
Police vehicles.
Police vehicles you have right here.
The,
Oh, okay, so what should it be?
7.
Okay, change that. Uh-huh.
And for Lee, we're gonna get some other, the total net square feet, we've got PD at 1,600 square feet. That doesn't make sense.
That's for their existing.
For the,
Existing. It
This is their
is,
existing.
this is their existing police department.
okay.
He described essentially what we have over there, except their town hall is still occupied. So what we had prior, what they were dealing with now, is what we had prior to us moving over here. So they're interacting with the public almost daily in their facility with non-police business,
Wow.
Okay,
much like it was
So
before
if
we
we've got
moved here.
5,000 square feet for the police right now, and
Mhm.
they're only at 1,600? Really? Wow,
Yeah,
it's incredible.
that's what he said.
so, and also this top thing on population, you said 2020, whoever got this 2020 census. So I got the other data, except for the projected in the future, from the US Census Bureau. I think I should look that up for the 2022 for Lee.
Yeah.
You know, I can get it from the same
Take this back
website.
again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have another meeting at 6.
Yeah, and I
there's
have
other
to
meetings
And there's
from
one in
the
this room.
six.
Yeah.
So-
All right, other business? Schedule next meeting? Do we want to do it in 2 weeks' time?
I don't see any urgency. I'll be candid, in 2 weeks, I'm hoping to be doing hay, so I don't know if you're gonna see me.
I won't be here next week. I'll be away.
Next week, 2 weeks?
Yeah, so next week I won't be here.
Yeah. Do we want to, or do we want to take a small
Well,
pause?
27th is Memorial Day, so that's 2 weeks out.
Okay, so we'll go into June?
Yeah, what about the 10th or something like that?
Monday, June 10, 4:30?
Okay.
Before we have HKT would join us at that point?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Well, we hope so.
Okay, no.
Do you want to try to get them to join us before that? Is that your thinking, that they should clarify before that? We don't really have an option next, well, Chief is away next
Yeah, we
week,
don't
then
have-
Memorial Day. What's the Monday after Memorial Day?
The third.
Third, I don't know.
Well,
I'll be doing hay. if the weather's good, so I won't be here.
So do we need, maybe we better get going and do the 3rd. I know you do.
Unless it's raining. You'd be here if it was raining, right?
Yeah, I'm like Barry Searle. If the weather's lousy, you'll see me.
I won't be here.
The 3rd?
Got a wedding.
Well, let's try the 10th and see.
All right,
the 10th.
Go for the 10th. And get HKT there too, and then, take it from there.
Okay.
Okay.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It is 5:56.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.